What's going on, Dragon Ball Z fans? Welcome back. UnrealEntGaming here, back once again with the COD Brothers Gaming, aka Super Saiyan Paul. Enough with the intros, guys. I want to state one thing. Now, this is going to be a Broly debate slash rant slash discussion between myself and Paul. Now, there have been a cluster of comments made about Broly over the years. In particular, I felt that Broly is one of the most, if not the most, overrated character within the Dragon Ball universe. My friend Paul over here, he strongly disagrees. He actually backs up a lot of his claims by referring to Broly as the pinnacle of Saiyan Enigma, meaning the entirety of what a Saiyan stands for is what Broly represents in the movies. And first things first, you know that I never disagree with you on a lot of things. We agree on so many things, but this is the one thing that I have disagreed with you to like the fullest of extents. Now,
okay. Let's see how this goes.
This is gonna be something completely different. Now, I believe Broly is overrated. You do not. Now,
wait. I didn't say. I was debating the fact that him being the most overrated character and stuff like that. Okay, go ahead.
So you don't believe that he's overrated at all?
It depends on what the fans say. For the most part,
no. Erase what the fans say, because fans say that he's more powerful than Whis. So what does that really tell you about what fans say?
That's the thing. It depends on what you're scaling it on in terms of overrated. Because that's what I met in the comments. People are like, he's stronger than Whis. Okay, that's overrated right there. But him as a regular character,
first of all, Broly, I don't believe is powerful enough to handle Cell, let alone anyone else that goes even further beyond the series. Because I think me and you both know that anyone after Cell would just decimate Broly completely. I mean, is that not accurate or what? What do you think?
In the first movie, he would have gotten whooped by Cell, but
that's right there. That right there is where I believe, with all due respect for Broly and his character, they should have ended it. Now, one thing that you mentioned a few times, and you kept going back to a few things that had to do with Budokai 3 and a few other things. Now, let's erase all the non-canon material, and let's bring up one thing. All right, so the first movie...
Broly in his entirety is non-canon!
Oh, and by the way, you got it wrong to where he was in hell and Pikkon and Goku were requested to go fight him. You said that, you and Sean both pointed out that was during the Janemba movie. It was not during the Janemba movie. It was during the Bio Broly movie, just saying.
Oh, Bio Broly, yeah.
Just saying, because that... So, I think we can both agree that the first movie was the best, right? Because that was what made Broly, very unique. The thing about Broly is this, right? So, aside from the fans, right? I just say this. Broly, from a characteristic standpoint to where you look at his appearance, yeah, he has a really awesome appearance. Like, he is a juggernaut. He looks like a beast, dude. Like, he looks like one of those, like, classic, in 1980s bodybuilding freaks from, like, Arnold's days. Like, he was massive. He looked really awesome, and I will never debate his look because it was different. Some people might say,
Yes. And on top of that, you telling me you can't say that his Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan transformation that Akira Toriyama just drew up didn't reference this at all?
We're not getting into that yet. We're getting into his physical appearance because some people can't even stand his physical appearance. Now, I don't have anything against his physical appearance. He looks really cool, dude. He's really tall.
Saiyans ever, yes.
Yeah, he's definitely beast. Now, when it comes to his overall dialogue, I think over the years he's definitely improved. And what I mean by that is, in games like Xenoverse and other games, he was given more dialogue instead of just saying Kakarot over and over and over and over again, which really got under people's skins, because when you have someone who looks like a freaking tank and you dumb him down to the point where, like, he's just all brute and no brains, that takes away from the character a lot. Because imagine if he was as smart as the other Saiyans, or even smarter. Like, what if he had, like, the intellect of someone like Piccolo? Like, he had that dialogue, he had that knowledge, and he also had that physical strength to back it up. Like, that was awesome. But instead, he was given this great body and no brains. All he ever kept thinking about was Kakarot this and Kakarot that. Yeah, I understand. When he was a kid, he had a very high power level, and he was embarrassed. That was pretty much the moral of the first story. Like, his power level was over 10,000. We had Goku, who was a piece of crap at the time, embarrassed them in front of the scientist and in front of King Vegeta and everybody, when everybody was like, hey, look, a mere, like, what is it, level 5 is making this strong-ass baby cry. Like, that's pretty pathetic. Like, like, that's like saying, hey, you go to the gym tomorrow and you manage to outbench someone who normally benches 500 pounds. Like, you're
not really, because, like, stuff. Dude, I was just born and I'm like this super strong Saiyan that has all this awareness and everything, and you put me next to this crying little piece of shit.
And that's the thing. That's
how am I supposed to grow without no sleep? I need
that's what irritated Broly the most as he got older, because if you think about, like, just the thought and emotion of embarrassment. Like, I think that harms humans more than anything else. Is like, because when you're embarrassed, it takes a lot to come back from that, because you still have like that memory embedded in your head. And Broly has not only the memory of him being betrayed by the Saiyans by getting stabbed in the heart like on the same day as Frieza's destruction, but the fact that you were embarrassed in front of everyone there, the fact that you were the strongest baby by far, if anything, possibly one of the strongest Saiyans that was ever conceived, and here you are getting embarrassed by this little like baby that has a power level of like a woman. So, you know, it's just Broly kept that within him, and I understand that's why he always pursued Goku, because number one, he wanted to murder him just on the simple fact of embarrassment purposes. Like, when he was a baby, he had all that coming to him, and for somebody like Kakarot to embarrass him like that, like, yeah, and you're right, being that he was put next to him, it's like, how could you forget, you know? And the fact that people might say, well, if Broly was a baby, how did he remember all that? Well, he remembered to save his father and him when Frieza destroyed the entire planet.
Exactly. So how does that make sense of him being a mentally retarded Saiyan when he was that smart as a child?
He was smart to a degree until he became this jacked up legendary Super Saiyan garbage, and then from there,
just on his goals, he had goals, and his goals were to kill everyone that ruined his childhood.
I think that
Goku was number one.
You're heavily looking into the character from like a very.
It makes sense though. If he's aware that he's being embarrassed, and this kid won't shut up because he needs to sleep to get gains, and that these guys have all tormented him. King Vegeta tormented him, Frieza tormented him. They're dead, but there's only one person that he can remember that's alive. From an infant age, he remembers this person and his name to the fullest, and all of that rage he can remember. This guy's not an idiot. And there's parts in the movie where he actually was tormenting the aliens on that planet, and you can see he has cognitive awareness and all of this stuff, which made him such an epic villain, but they didn't show that enough, but it was there.
Well, of course, I mean, nobody was saying that he wasn't a very malicious villain, but he was just heavily dumbed down because, again, you even said that he wanted a quote-unquote peace of mind. That is irrefutable, because what kind of person wants peace of mind and he wipes out an entire planet? What kind of peace does that bring to you by destroying life? Like, that only represents the embodiment of evil, because if you're killing off life, what kind of clarity does that even bring to you? For example, right?
Well, that's what he was designed to be. Saiyans were designed to kill.
We can even go back to Hitler. Would you agree that Hitler wanted a peace of mind by wiping out everyone of color and Jew ethnicity?
Yes,
No.
Yes, he would.
What kind of peace would that bring someone by wiping out an entire race?
To our standards, but that peace to his standards. Broly was designed to be the fullest Saiyan Enigma.
No, he wasn't designed for anything. He was actually a regular baby. He was there until all the fucked up shit happened to him, and then that's what made him who he was. Because, all right, let's say, for example, hypothetically speaking, let's say King Vegeta never did that to him. He never stabbed him. Let's say Goku never made him cry. Let's say Frieza never blew up the planet. He would have been brought up so much more differently. And I think we both can agree on that. He wouldn't have been this. I mean, I'm sure he would have had the power, but his mindset wouldn't have been like murder. And even to extent peace of mind, he killed his own dad, dude. Like, that's like.
But how can you say that at that point? Like, after living all these years in this torment, and to the point where it's just ingrained in your head. After all those years, letting it just sit there to the point where it had to be controlled. He was living as a perfect Saiyan. That's everything Vegeta praised and talked about. Everything in the folklore and the myths and everything, Vegeta copied basically off of Broly to the T, and that's what made me respect him so much. It's just, even Vegeta was like, this is what I always wanted to be. This is what Vegeta's own father gassed him up to be, and he couldn't even amount to that.
Well, mind you, that entire arc is just completely non-canon. And if you want to go back to the regular material, Vegeta even says it in both the manga and the anime 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago. So are you trying to tell me that King Vegeta was 1,000 years old to the very day where Broly became the legendary Super Saiyan? It makes absolutely no sense, because
they were waiting for the next one to come, and they thought it was Goku. Vegeta thought he could have ascended to it too, but Broly put them all in their place.
No, but on the sheer fact that when you said that when he transformed into a legendary Super Saiyan, you were just like, that was the original Super Saiyan. Like, some people might argue, oh, it's Bardock. It's not Bardock, and it's not Broly. They were not the first ever Super Saiyans, because even us, we don't really know who that entity was. Like, for example, that even goes back to the original Super Saiyan God. We don't know who this god was who fought these 6 rogue Saiyans that ended up just disappearing off the face of history. We don't know who these characters are, but one thing is for certain: it is not Bardock, and it is not it's not Broly. I mean, granted, now the first movie, as epic as it was, it had such a climatic ending, because with all that brute force, you get punched in the abdominals once, and you just get sent flying back into this asteroid. I mean, to a degree, I think they could have played it off much better. They could have kept the ending. They could have kept the ending from the second movie in the first movie. Like, can you imagine if like Broly was there? He was like, I'm done beating you up. I'm killing all of you. And he unleashed his attack, and then Goku was like unleashing his Kamehameha. And then alongside him, we have Vegeta, Trunks, Gohan, Piccolo, everybody just unleashing their attacks at once, pushing Broly back into the asteroid. Boom. That would have been a much better ending.
That could also be said for Resurrection F, bro, because that's exactly what did Frieza die to? A Kamehameha wave.
Well, then again, we don't know how they're going to change that. He might die in a similar way, but in a different fashion as the show progresses. But now we have
to
the
cut it
second
short
movie.
because it's just a movie. They have to make the villain die somehow, but they didn't expect how popular this Saiyan was going to be.
Well, of
so they
course, no.
milked him for this.
Broly is by far, aside from Janemba, the most popular movie character, period. All right, that's irrefutable. But then we have the second movie, right? He comes back, fine, cool. He's been chilling there for 7 years until Gohan grew up, whatever. He bought his time. He was recovering. Yeah, it was supposed to be like a really, like in the beginning it had a really good story. And then after that, he was just like, I understand he came to Earth for Goku. That was a really good story. He came back because he wanted to not only kill the Saiyan for embarrassing him when he was a child, but ultimately just killing him even more because of what he did on that planet.
But
so
if you go back to the way of his death, and like you said, he died to one punch in the abdominals. But if you were referencing Cell and how he could have been beaten by Cell in that first movie, you got to take note of the fact that in the Cell saga, nobody wanted to double team Cell. But they just did a 5-man mini.
Well, actually, that goes back to the entirety of Dragon Ball. When have they ever tried to attack someone aside from Super Buu, Gohan, Absorbed?
But that's the thing, Broly clotheslined both of them, like 2 of them at once, and on top of that, they all gathered in a mini Super Saiyan God ritual, and you're telling me...
They didn't do no God ritual, bruh.
A mini Super Saiyan God ritual.
They didn't do no God ritual, bruh.
They passed a mini Super Saiyan God ritual.
They did not do any God ritual.
With the exception of Piccolo not being a Super Saiyan.
What kind of Namek grass are you smoking?
Dude, they literally just lended all of their energy to Goku and threw it into one punch. You're telling me that's not like the equivalent of like what, a Super Saiyan 2.5 punch or something like that?
All right, but that you're bringing up the God ritual. That's
no, but
very
it's
different.
in a similar fashion, dude. You're using
it's not a similar fashion because like the God ritual holds
that ritual. You're short 2, and they're all lending it to one person. It's just because they didn't hold hands, they're missing 2 Saiyans. That's not like 4/6 of the thing done right there.
Well, remember, I mean, they've often shared energy a lot throughout the entire battles with.
I'm not saying the Super Saiyan God level of power, but I'm just saying it's like a mini Super Saiyan God ritual. That's basically a lot of the things from the Super Saiyan God movies are based off of this movie. If you haven't been able.
Wait, what do you mean Super Saiyan God movies? There's only been 2 movies with Super Saiyan God in it.
Well, the series too, included in that. But like Broly's design, his blue hair, he looks like a god. On top of that,
that is not a god.
But he looks like one. I'm not saying
he may appear to look like it, but not even by far, dude. He's just.
What are you talking about? Even in Budokai 3, he even claimed that he was a god. It seems like
the games have no reference to the show, dude. Because that's like saying that he was on par with Gogeta, which that is impossible.
Well, I wasn't talking about that, but his lines. How are you sure that Akira just didn't throw that into the mix? Like, okay,
and that's where the confliction comes in, because people
and then on top of that, line. Yes, it is somewhat of a god ritual. It's not a god ritual in terms of power, but dude, the concept looks like it just came right out of that movie.
When have they ever held hands and done the ritual? They haven't. I mean, lending energy.
But I'm not saying holding hands. If you're taking the power level,
yeah, but lending energy to one another is not considered a god ritual at all because they've done that millions of times.
Name like 2 other times, bro.
They did it during the what was it? Garlic Jr. Garlic Jr. They did it with that. They did it with who else did they do it with? They did it with a few other characters that I can't think of right now. But they have at least one more other character. They've given each other energy, and even Vegeta to the point where he never wants to give Goku energy, but he still does it anyway. But then that one line, going back to Budokai, when he says, "I am a god," people take that and they're just like, man, Broly is like the most iconic, legendary figure of all of Dragon Ball. He can take on God himself if it was possible.
That's why I still don't say he's the most overrated, because a lot of the ideas from that movie have been drawn
after the second movie. I think they should have done something completely different instead of just bringing him back, having Gohan fight him. And in fact, even to this day, some people argue, was Gohan a Super Saiyan 1 or was he a Super Saiyan 2? Because I still stand on the fact that he was a Super Saiyan 1, because for me, I don't believe Broly would compare and be on par with someone like Perfect Cell or Super Saiyan 2. Like, maybe if he had some sort of extended training or time to, like, build up his power, yeah. But he's fresh out of a wound. Like, all right, yeah, he may have had the Zenkai boost, but not to the point where he exceeded Super Saiyan 2. Like, even to the point where the third movie, which was the worst, because, again, they said, hey, let's take Broly and let's bring him back in some, like, Boo Goo. It was just really bad. Like, the ending was really cool because you had, King Kai tell Goku, hey, listen, Broly's in hell, he's wreaking havoc, go down there and take care of him. But we all know at this point that it's officially clear that the entirety of the Hell series that we've seen in Dragon Ball is not Akira Toriyama's work, it's Toei. So the whole sequence of them being in Hell and all that kind of stuff, it's different. It's a different canon material. But nonetheless, he was in Hell, he was doing all this crap, and it would have been really cool to see Pikkon and Goku go down there and like handle him. But again, the entirety of the character, people would say, oh man, imagine if he was a Super Saiyan God, like he would decimate God Vegeta and all that kind of stuff. Like you'd be surprised, man. Like sometimes I would say it's not the character itself that takes away from, you know, the overall aura that he emits. Sometimes it's the fans, because the fans are gonna be like, yeah, you know, you put a Broly against anybody else and Broly would win. That's not true.
I wouldn't say that, but the fans do have a point in some aspects, because I'm telling you, I see all of these references in the Battle of Gods movies and in the series. They've taken from this movie, and that shows he's not.
How do they take from the Broly movies?
I just pointed out, dude, the ritual and even Broly's.
They did not. Wait. Hold on. So what you're telling me is that they took the Super Saiyan God ritual that we
the concept and the look of Broly. You're telling me that does not look like...
They did not copy off that at all.
How? Blue hair and blue eyes, and you
blue hair and blue eyes has nothing to do with that.
That has nothing to do with it at all.
That has nothing to do with Broly at all.
I'm telling you, he pulled that straight out of that movie. The concept was there, and on top of that, another thing, going back to... Wait, what was the thing you argued before that with Garlic Joe? Fuck. Shit.
Like that's one thing I think.
Okay. You still say you claim that he's overrated or the most overrated character in Dragon Ball Z.
He's the only character that's been a movie character that's had 3 movies. Why didn't someone else come back? The only character close to him that had more movies was Cooler. And that was because everybody was like, whoa, Frieza's brother. And then when he came back as Metal Cooler, everybody was still like, oh my god, imagine if he came back again. Nope, done and over with. He had his moment, that's fine. If Broly had only, 2 movies, fine, dude. He came back for another run, he got his shit kicked in. But then he came back again. And they didn't even execute him well in the 3rd movie, because the best part was when Trunks and Goten saw him in like that rejuvenation chamber, and they saw when he turned around, they just shit themselves. But again, he came back in this like Broly Boo Goo shit, and he was just bad. That was just horrible. But again, the reason why he's overrated is because number 1, he had the most movies out of any movie character. And
that doesn't mean anything. The first 2.5 of those movies were so good up until the point where they turned him to a slime ball. The second
one wasn't as good as the first one. I think everybody can say this. The first one was the best, just because it was like this massive brawl. So that was really cool. Second one, okay, I'll deal with it. Third one, what? So the first concept is the fact that number 1, he had too many movies. I think a lot of people can agree. And there was a rumor years ago. I'll never forget this. There was a rumor years and years ago that he was supposed to have another movie, but thank God that didn't happen, because that would have been really weird. Because what would have been the movie? Like, he would have came back as a Super Saiyan 3, whatever. So
that's what people wanted for him. If he came back as
Dragon Ball Heroes did it, and okay, he looked really cool. But again, man, just they're doing too much with that. So number 2 is the fact that people can compare him based off of Budokai lines, based off of simple dialogue, to different realms of power. For example, they would take Broly and they would say, well, if you do the calculations and the multipliers correctly, if he were to train, long enough, he'd be as strong as Beerus. What? I saw that comment. I saw a comment where somebody was like...
I can't really base it off of that, but he's not the most overrated. I think he lives up to most of these things. On top of that,
he's
a lot of people...
overrated. I mean, there's a lot of people right now...
But you guys, you guys said that he was the most overrated character. He's not.
I think he definitely is. Now, some people might say, well, it can't be. It has to be Goku, Hercule, Videl, Chi-Chi. Man, you'd be surprised. So, but I believe right now, Broly is amongst all of them, probably in the top 3 of being the most overrated, because...
But he's not the most overrated. No.
I think he is. He has to be, because...
I would say, I still stand by what I said. It's not Trunks or Broly. Definitely not those 2.
Well, who said Trunks? Trunks is not...
Oh, you know who said Trunks.
Well, I mean, Future Trunks, I like Future Trunks, because Future Trunks is... like, he has his own... Perfect example, Future Trunks, right? Future Trunks, he came back with a purpose. And even when he came back after he left...
Yeah, we already know. Like,
he came back and he had
a video on this.
Such a rich story. Broly came back with no story. Like, especially after the 3rd one, it was like, why are you back again? What? Why are you here?
Because he's more than just the Saiyan with no brain. He's a symbol. He's the symbol of what Saiyan should be. That's why people...
No, he is not what the symbol of what Saiyan should be.
Yes, he is a symbol. That's everything Vegeta's ever described. On top of that, the reason everybody wants him to come back in Dragon Ball Super, or they wanted him in another movie, because if he fits
you said everybody wants him back in Dragon Ball Super. Comment down below, guys. Comment down below if you guys want to see Broly in Super. Why?
There's a lot of people that wanted him to be one of the gods of the next universe. The reason why is because he fits the criteria to a T. They've based a lot of things off of him, and even in the part where he's sitting on that throne, he fits that criteria to the max. Like a Saiyan god of destruction, he'd fit it. No matter what anybody says, like out of every character that's been brought so far, out of every Saiyan that's been brought in every movie, he fits that criteria to the fullest.
All right, yeah, maybe the level of
That's not
destruction,
overrated.
That's all he ever did. Maybe in the realm of destruction because he was very destructive as a character. Again,
well, that's what his character is.
I go back on what I said. You said that he tried to get a peace of mind. I say that his mindset wasn't peace of mind. It was just destruction. Like he didn't care. Like Broly doesn't care.
In the version of a Saiyan thing, get his revenge, and then he's good. And then
again, not every Saiyan had that mentality that you say that he had. For example, would you say that someone like Tarbo, Nappa, and Raditz had the same mindset as someone like Broly? Absolutely not. Like every Saiyan has
you can't compare them to him because he's the legendary. How are you supposed to compare?
How is he legendary?
At the time of his birth, he can remember this kid's name next to him. He was
because he had a power level of over 10,000. How many other Saiyans that we don't know about that had a similar power level?
Who else was able to escape a planet blown up by the Emperor of the Universe at the time?
Well, we don't know because if you think about an entire planet here, we have to focus on more than just one region. So we don't know if there are other surviving Saiyans out there. Perfect example, Shappa himself even said, hey, those two that trained on Beerus' planet, they're Saiyans, right? Well, we can't let them just have all the Saiyans. We have to bring in some Saiyans as well. So we don't know if other Saiyans survive from different regions. Like, that goes back to Star Wars when there's, like, several Jedi out there in the galaxy.
It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, Broly's not overrated because, as the fans also point out, you take Broly, you paste him into God of Destruction level, he fits that criteria. That's not overrated if you can fit a God of Destruction level, because people are putting Vegeta and Goku into that throne. That's not overrated.
I wouldn't consider those two to be gods of destruction either, because Vegeta solely trains on being better than Goku, period, and Goku just wants to be better just so he can test his own limits.
But after the first movie, everybody wanted Vegeta to take that role and Goku to take the role of being the god of creation.
Well, of course, everybody wants those two, but they don't.
If you have Broly in the question for that, and he fits that criteria, and he can go sit in that throne to become the first, that's not overrated at all. I don't think so. That's crazy to say that.
And the fact that you pointed out the whole blue hair scenario, like, there is just absolutely no way. Like I highly doubt
that there's not even an ounce, not even 1% of that design was blasted towards Super Saiyan God.
But aside from Paragus and the innocent people that Broly dominated and murdered, who did he notably destroy that had any sort of credibility throughout his life? Like, maybe if he were to come back, like, for example, what if he came back second or third movie and he did establish himself as a villain to the point where he was so dangerous that he actually killed someone?
Well,
like,
he was
everyone that we know about thus far killed at least one person that made them stand out to the point where it's just like, wow, you're such an asshole. Frieza killed Krillin, Cell killed Trunks, Majin Buu killed everybody. Like, that's insane. Beerus doesn't count as a villain because he is a mutual character. All he cares about is food. As of right now, at least. We don't know, like, what's going to happen later. But Broly, like, he had it. He had the potential, but the lack of dialogue, it was
he
always...
used it, though, in that one moment where that person was looking at their planet.
He has more dialogue now than what he had 10 years ago.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're looking at what you're talking about here, when he was a child, I'm going back to this peace of mind thing. When he was a child, he was happy. He was destroying things left and right. But then he went back to the one person that's alive and haunting him in his brain that he can remember.
Well, also remember, like, Paragus had to control him the entire time because he was destroying stuff.
There was a point where he was that happy, he just forgot about everything. He was just blasting things left and right. You're telling me that's not a perfect villain, a perfect god of destruction? He's taking Beerus' job.
Wait, you said a perfect villain?
Perfect villain, perfect god of destruction.
A perfect villain, perfect god of destruction. Kid Buu would have fit that criteria perfectly.
Exactly. So Broly fits Kid Buu's criteria as well.
Absolutely not, because Kid Buu... I think, personally... You say Broly as God of Destruction, I would say more like Kid Buu, because Kid Buu, he would disregard everything. Like, all right, fine, Broly killed his dad. Buu killed Bibbidi. Like, you know, like, it's more or less the same thing, but Buu's...
So now you're even comparing him to Kid Buu, and people will say that Kid Buu was one of the great villains up there.
No, absolutely, and Kid Buu did have... I would say,
now he's not overrated for that reason. If you could compare him to that as well, and on top of that, Beerus.
But Kid Buu was never compared. Kid Buu was never compared to any other character, like, to being on, like, a godlike level how Broly is. For example, like, when he became a Super Saiyan 4 in Heroes, when he became a Super Saiyan 5 in Dragon Ball AF, people were just like, holy shit, this, like, even in Dragon Ball Multiverse, right? In Dragon Ball Multiverse, this dude is so strong in his respective universe that he's even able to compare himself to Super Saiyan 3 Vegito. Dude, think about Vegito for a second, right? The multi-power situations.
That's nowhere near the real mainstream themes. And on top of that, even in Dragon Ball Heroes, Gohan got to go Super Saiyan 4 as well.
Exactly, but
So how does that
nobody compared Gohan to the powers of Gogeta, Vegito, or Beerus and Whis
But
like how
why
they
is
do with
Gohan
Broly.
getting a buff?
Gohan's not getting a buff. Gohan right now in the legitimate canon version
But yeah, but
still
you're bringing
stands
up Dragon Ball
Olympics.
Heroes, and I'm bringing up Dragon Ball Heroes because you're bringing it up.
No, but the
It
reason
still
why I'm
doesn't make
bringing it up
sense.
is because I'm showing you, like, yeah, they may have Gohan go Super Saiyan 4,
But then why is he
people-
not being labeled overhyped for going Super Saiyan 4?
because
For no
nobody's
reason?
comparing him to God levels.
Well, but
nobody.
well, he's going into the God tournament now.
We don't know that for sure until we see it.
And on top of that, going back to God of Destruction things, Beerus doesn't take his job serious enough. Imagine having a God of Destruction like Broly who has fun with it, just like Kid Buu did. It's the same exact mentality, except there was more revenge in his storyline.
And what would be Broly's motives? Just completely Kakarot this, Kakarot that, the entire universe?
Well, going back to when he was a child, the flashbacks that he had, you saw him tearing things up. You saw the fun he had putting those aliens in fear. I like that part of the movie.
Who
that
didn't
first
put
movie-
out of, like, I mean, everybody out there except for the ranks of Cell, because Cell never had any galactic influence, nor, you know, like, I guess you could say, like, fear in other beings, because he was just on Earth, he wasn't out there. But Frieza instilled fear in everybody except for Beerus, because that was his boss. But
Broly would have brought him to his knees
Brought
and
who to
made
his
him
knees?
cry. What?
brought who to his knees?
Frieza.
Broly would have brought Frieza to his knees.
Yeah, Frieza would have. You know how much fear Frieza would have came for him? King Vegeta was
I
afraid
don't
of him.
think he'd be scared of him.
Broly enslaved an entire planet. Cell never even did that.
Nah, I think Frieza wouldn't be scared of the challenge. I just think that maybe Frieza would be faced up with, like, oh shit, this is really happening kind of thing. But I don't think he'd be like, oh no, please don't attack me, monkey.
That's how he was with Goku that minute he saw Goku. But Broly had it at a younger age too. Imagine the fear seeing a Super Saiyan child, legendary Super Saiyan child, coming for you. It's ready to rip your arms off.
Oh, he would max out 100% right there and just go right for the kill, and that would be like a fucking very vicious battle. But
Goku's
again,
vengeance. Goku wasn't put at into the garbage as a child and had to fend for himself. Goku had to fight for people he didn't even know about, like for his father and stuff. That didn't even count in that fight. Broly if he was to take on Frieza at that age. Yo, you nearly killed me, you nearly killed my father. I was barely an infant when you tried to kill me because of how much fear you tried to instill in me. And it was just like, that would have been a perfect revenge arc.
It would have, but here's the thing. If they did not do all the movies, if they didn't just give him the god dialogues and stuff, he would have been fine. I think people would have loved him more if he were to have one or two movies, but like establish the character to a degree where he's not just like if you give him, like, for example, like Piccolo, I think is one of the most intelligent fighters, because like when he talks to you, when he comes at you and stuff, like watching his fight with 17, watching his fight with Cell, when he completely tricked Cell into like splurring out all the answers that he wanted. Like, Piccolo was a very smart fighter. So imagine if Broly had like more depth to his character instead of just being a brute, like, because that's all he really was just a brute. Like, he was really big, really strong, but like when he would speak, it was just like, all right, perfect example, right? It's like, I hate to use this analogy, but Ronnie Coleman, biggest bodybuilder ever. When he talks to you, it's like, yeah.
Alright, so let's go compare him to another Saiyan that was just probably as overhyped as he was and got a second movie and got even more recognition because of this. Bardock. How did Bardock get that Super Saiyan movie? How does Bardock even compare to Broly? He doesn't compare in strength or anything, and he's just as stupid, but he can talk perfect English.
People are going to refute the whole stupid idea.
Who goes into a bar to warn Saiyans about the planet exploding?
That's going to be an entirely different video, because that right there is going to go into
what kind of Saiyan sees the future and decides to go to a bar to warn everyone?
Again, non-canon material, but hey, I guess that's just the way Bardock was brought after fans wanted to see more of him. But
non-canon material, even Gogeta's non-canon, and he's even given himself a reputation. You got to count it for something. It's had an effect on...
Gogeta doesn't count because, again, non-canon material. I hate the whole canon, non-canon bullshit.
That doesn't matter. That's the conversation we're having here. You can't just say non-canon material.
It is non-canon because Broly was never.
I know he's
actual
non-canon material, but you can't just say that into the argument. We're talking about in the Dragon Ball Z realm, including everything.
In Akira Toriyama's realm, not the other realms of Toei.
But then what's the point of having this argument then? Because
you're saying that Broly in the Toei realm of being a non-canon Akira Toriyama material is not the most overrated. Like, if he didn't have so many movies, and if he didn't have the dialogue that he did, he would be a perfect character. Because imagine if he had more more
So you're
dialogue
saying
to
now
his
the
character.
only thing wrong with him is the dialogue? That's it?
It was always Kakarot, Kakarot, Kakarot. Like, come on, it was always, and then like he never really explained himself. Like, for example, when he was beating Goku down, how awesome! Like, all right, perfect example. When Cell beat the shit out of Goku, he told him straight up, like, yo, like, now do you know how hopeless you really are? Like, he was just talking trash. Like, he was in, like, he made Goku feel as if I really can't do this. Like, this kid right here next to me is gonna have to. I can't. Like, this guy, and then again, he did it because he wanted to see Gohan how, the way he fought Cell, whatever. But imagine if Broly beat Goku down and he told him, he was like, you embarrassed me in front of our people. You caused me to hate you. Like, he just, like, if there was ever a moment to where Broly could have had one of his biggest moments to where he would explain the origins of his hate, because you don't just hate for no reason.
I don't know,
for example,
man. He's
imagine if
killing
Broly
machine.
was there.
A Saiyan killing machine.
Yeah, a
Who cares
Saiyan
about
killing machine.
This petty
but-
talking stuff. If I can kill you and rip your throat out right now, I would do it. That's what a Saiyan does. That's what he ran up to beat the
Not
shit
all
out of everyone.
Saiyans, because Bardock had a change of heart and he was ruthless.
But Bardock wasn't really the legendary Super Saiyan. He didn't have the power yet. You guys asked
What does legendary even mean?
Well, he brought the definition to that meeting. How is that overrated?
Let us know down below on what you guys feel like the legendary Super Saiyan means, because again,
it means you can show these regular Super Saiyans who's the boss. I still don't think
and remember, there are 3 degrees in Super Saiyans, in Super Saiyan branches. There's regular Super Saiyan, Ultra Super Saiyan, and then there's fully powered Super Saiyan, the one that we only saw Goku go up against Cell when he hit the very limit. Like that, those are the 3 branches. Now, what is how does legendary Super Saiyan differ from Ultra Super Saiyan? It's just more or less like
he carries the speed and everything.
Yeah, he carries the speed. He did it right. But again, it's just that shouldn't be considered. That should, if that's the case, Future Trunks should have been considered legendary because he hit Ultra Super Saiyan.
Well, do you think Future Trunks at the time? Let's go back to the Cell Games arena thing. Like when everybody was crowded around the Cell Games, do you think he'd be able to take on everybody there?
Who, Cell? I mean,
no,
Trunks.
Trunks could take on everybody there.
No,
Broly did.
Bro, but wait, hold on. This was during the Cell Games, right? Like when they first got there.
Yeah.
Now your question is, would Trunks be able to take on everyone there?
Everybody fresh out of the chamber, yeah.
On that same day?
Yeah. At once.
Trunks would not, neither would Broly.
Broly did.
That was a period, I think it was 3 or 5 days after, because remember, they had like 10 days or something like that. That
everybody that came out of that chamber basically took on Broly and
lost. But the
lost.
Broly movie did not happen a day before nor on the same day as that tournament. It happened, I believe, 5 or 6 days prior. So like,
but I'm just saying, in terms of power level, Trunks came out.
They still had time to grow because they still went back in there.
But it's not like Trunks could take on all
went back in there. Piccolo went back in there. Gohan, and there's a reason why Goku never went back in there, is because, and here's the thing, he made Gohan realize how precious life is, and that's what you're supposed to fight for. So
you're still telling me that Trunks
maybe if that fight happened on Earth, Gohan could have, became a Super Saiyan 2. That would have been great.
So wait, you're still telling me that there's no reason for that to happen, because you're telling me Trunks and Ultra Super Saiyan could still take on Goku, just Goku, Vegeta.
I'm saying Trunks Ultra Super Saiyan could take on Broly with less speed. He'd probably have the disadvantage, but Ultra Super Saiyan Trunks, I think, would demolish Broly.
In terms of power, but in speed, no. Broly has the better
because again, he didn't do it right. Goku even said it when he was in the chamber. He was like, Gohan's like, Dad, you're gonna beat Cell. He was like, no, this form has a weakness, and that's lack of speed. Like, yeah, I have the power, but still, guys, let us know down below. Is Broly overrated or not? Is he a good character? Is he a bad character? How do you guys fit him in the criteria of the canon material and the non-canon material? And if you guys had to rank him, like, for example, let's do rankings here. Would he be above Cell, below Cell, above Boo, below Boo? Let us know what you guys think down below. If you guys enjoyed the debate, smash that like button. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Paul. We will argue again. I'm sure this is going to be...
I love Broly more than ever with all these facts, honestly.
I don't know.
I really do.
Broly's a bro, man. I don't know, man. Anyways, guys, let us know what you guys think down below, and we'll be seeing you all later. Take it easy, guys. Kakarot.